Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Rabbi.
We are learning Mishna Yevamos, Perek Zion, Chapter 7, Mishna Gimel, Mishna 3. Today's learning has been dedicated by Barry Steinberg in memory of George Steinberg, Gedalia ben Chaim, and Neshama Shavan Aliyah.
Amen.
Okay, a little bit of a complicated Mishnah. Bas Yisrael Shenissas L'Kohen, a daughter of a Yisrael and a daughter of a non-Kohen who married a Kohen, Umes, and he died. V'nicha muberes, and he left her pregnant. Now, she was married to a Kohen. While she was married to the Kohen, she could eat truma. She's the wife of a Kohen. In our case, she had children with this Kohen, and because there are still children from this marriage that are around, she continues to eat truma, even though she's not married to the Kohen anymore. But the fact that basically she's the mother of Kohanim, that also is at the end of the day entitling her to eat truma. But here's the thing: but now when he died, he left her pregnant. Lo yoichlu avodeha bat truma. Her servants may not eat truma. Now we learned before that there are two types of servants. There are their malug servants, which are considered hers, and if she can eat truma, they can eat truma. And then you have the servants that were the tzon barzel. The tzon barzel means property she brings into the marriage that the husband takes upon himself, that he is going to make sure she gets their value back if for some reason their marriage terminates through divorce or through death. So we say that those servants actually belong to him since he's responsible for them. So our Mishnah is talking about those slaves, even though it's referring to her as her slaves. That means the slaves she brought into the marriage. And we're talking about the tzon barzel slaves, the slaves that he is responsible to replace to her, their value to her if he dies or divorces her, which in this case he died. All right. But the point is that in the previous Mishnah, we said that those slaves that she brought into the marriage that were tzon barzel slaves, they can eat truma. Why can they eat truma? But they're considered the Kohen slaves. In our Mishnah, we're saying now at this point, those slaves cannot eat truma. Mipnei chelkoi shel uber, because of the portion, because of the part that the uber that this fetus owns. Meaning, when this man dies, and we say that these slaves were considered his, now they go to his sons, right? The heirs, the inheritors. The uber, the fetus, if it's a boy, is also considered an heir and has now inherited, he has a portion of those slaves. You know, when a person passes away and his estate falls to Yarshim, to heirs, they all have a portion in the estate until they divide it up. This uber, this fetus, has a portion in those slaves. And it's because of that portion that he has in those slaves that those slaves can't eat truma. Why? A fetus can invalidate, but a fetus cannot give to eat. These are the words of Rabbi Yossi. That means Rabbi Yossi says like this: this uber, this fetus, although he's the son of a Kohen, nonetheless does not have the power, the ability to give truma. So it comes out here that these slaves are partially owned by someone who can't give them truma to eat, and you can't ignore him. He's an heir. He has a portion here. They all have to have the ability to give him truma, to give these slaves truma. All the heirs have to have the ability to feed him truma, to feed those servants truma, if they're going to be able to eat. But now that there's a portion of them that belongs to the uber, to the fetus, who can't feed them the truma, they can't eat truma. They're going to have to wait till he's born. And the wording that's used is because an uber, a fetus, can invalidate, but the fetus cannot feed. Invalidate means the following. Invalidate means, let's say you have the daughter of a Kohen who married a non-Kohen. Can she eat truma? The answer is no. She's married to a non-Kohen. Now, if let's say that her husband dies, right? Her husband dies. Now, if she has children from that marriage that are around, again, she cannot go back to her father's house and eat truma. If there are no children left from this marriage that she had with the non-Kohen, she can go back to her father's house and eat truma. But let's say she's pregnant. Let's say there are no children other than the fetus that she's carrying. Okay, so she's got a fetus there, right? So there is a child there. So we say that this child of the non-Kohen is going to invalidate her from eating truma. Even though the child is not born yet, still, we don't say, well, there's no children left for the marriage, and now she can go back to her father's house and eat truma. The fetus is considered, to some degree, the child of the previous husband. She's got a child from that marriage, and therefore she can't eat truma. Okay? At the same time that we do see this fetus as a child of the deceased husband, when it comes to feeding truma, that's not going to work. It can't, that fetus, even though it's the child of a Kohen, who itself, when it gets born, is going to be able to eat truma, at this state cannot feed truma, and because of his portion in the slaves that he owns, and he has no right to feed them truma, so therefore the halacha is that they can't eat until he's born. That's the opinion of Rabbi Yossi. Amru loi, the sages said to him like this. The sages are going to focus on the fact that Rabbi Yossi, who is the Tana of this first half of the Mishnah, discussed a specific case, a case of the Bas Yisrael who married a Kohen. She's the daughter of a non-Kohen who married a Kohen. And we're saying in that case, her fetus from the Kohen cannot feed truma to the slaves. And therefore, they can't eat. So Amru loi, the sages said to him, they said to Rabbi Yossi, once you have testified to us, meaning once you have made your statement to us regarding the daughter of the Yisrael who married a Kohen, and you said by her that the slaves, the Tzom Barzel slaves, can't eat the truma because the fetus doesn't have the ability to feed truma to the slaves. The same shape should apply by the daughter of a Kohen who was married to a Kohen, and the Kohen died, and left her pregnant. Still, her servants, the Tzom Barzel servants, shouldn't eat truma because of the portion of the uber, of the fetus. Meaning, the sages said back to Rabbi Yossi, why did you specifically talk about a case of a Bas Yisrael, the daughter of Yisrael, who married a Kohen? And you said there that her fetus from the Kohen doesn't have the ability to feed truma. Why did you only talk about it there? Why didn't you talk about it in the case where it was a daughter of a Kohen? She's the daughter of the Kohen. She married a Kohen. The Kohen died, left her pregnant. At the end of the day, those servants are partially owned by the fetus. The fetus cannot feed them truma. Done. That's it. If you're telling me that a fetus can't feed truma, then it shouldn't make a difference if the woman was a daughter of a non-Kohen or the daughter of a Kohen. At the end of the day, if these Tzom Barzel slaves, specifically these Tzom Barzel slaves who are considered owned by the husband and now inherited by the heirs, if the uber is an heir and he is considered an heir, and if he's a boy and he has the portion in the servants, he has no ability to feed them truma. So no matter where she's from, whether she's a daughter of a non-Kohen or of a Kohen, it shouldn't make a difference. Why did you only talk about the case of the daughter of a Kohen? So that was their argument to Rabbi Yossi, meaning according to this idea that the Kohen cannot feed, that the fetus cannot feed truma to the slaves, it makes no difference if it's the daughter of a Kohen married to the Kohen or the daughter of Yisrael married to the Kohen. But Rabbi Yossi didn't say that. Rabbi Yossi spoke specifically about the Bas Yisrael, the daughter of the non-Kohen who married the Kohen. Why did he do that? The explanation is like this. The argument the argument here between Rabbi Yossi and the sages is the following. When we say that this fetus does not have the ability to feed truma to feed truma to anybody, it doesn't give the rights to truma, and in this case to the servants. Why is that? Is it because the fetus is not considered a Kohen? Right now, the fetus hasn't been born, right? And his mother is not a Kohen, right? She was a Bas Yisrael. So why can't the fetus feed truma? Because we don't consider him a Kohen. We don't consider him a Kohen. Is that the reason? Or is it because specifically he could be a Kohen? He could be a Kohen Gadol, I'm just joking. He could be a Kohen, that's not a question. The point is though, an uber, a fetus, an unborn child does not have the ability to feed truma. That's the question, and these questions revolve around how to interpret or how to derive these concepts from the words of the Torah. But this is the concept that they're arguing around. So now let's take a look. What difference does this make? The difference is like this: the Chachamim, the sages who said no difference, they understand the idea of an uber of a fetus not feeding truma because a fetus can't feed truma. That's it. A fetus doesn't have the power to feed truma to somebody, and therefore doesn't matter what his mother is, a bas kohen, not a bas kohen. Finished. A fetus cannot feed truma. Rabbi Yossi says no. It's not pshat. The point is not that the fetus can't eat truma. The point is because the fetus isn't a kohen, because his mother's not a kohen. He follows his mother's status at this point. But if let's say she's a bas kohen, she's a daughter of a kohen. That as a daughter of a Kohen, that itself really gives her the right to eat truma also. So then the fetus could feed the servants truma. The whole reason in the case of the Bas Yisrael, the daughter of the Kohen, not of the non-Kohen, her fetus cannot feed the slaves truma because of the fact that this fetus is not considered a Kohen. His mother's not a Kohen. Once he's born, he'll follow the status of his father. But until he's born, he follows the status of his mother. Okay, once he's born, he'll follow the status of his father. But until he's born, he's not going to follow the status of his father. He'll follow the status of his mother. Oh, so his mother was a Bas Yisrael. He can't be a Kohen. However, if let's say she's a Bas Kohen, meaning she has a status of a Kohen in the sense of eating truma, then the fetus has that same status of a Kohen to be able to of a Kohen for truma, and therefore that fetus would be able to feed the servants truma. And therefore, Rabbi Yossi specifically spoke about a case of a Bas Yisrael, of a daughter of a non-Kohen who married a Kohen. Gonna have to stop here today. Have a wonderful day. Good Tvach, Shvuah Tov.
Thank you.